Good evening. It's October 15th, 2013. I appreciate everybody turning out and the folks at home watching our council meeting. Notice of this meeting stating the date, place, and time has been disseminated as required under the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Clerk, please conduct the prayer and flag salute.
God of the universe, look thou with favor upon these here assembled, and bestow thy guidance upon the members of the governing body in their deliberations. This we ask in thy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. In the event of emergency, the proper method for exiting the council chambers through the three rear doors. Occupants should proceed down the staircase, out the front door, move away from the area of the front steps. Any member of the public wishing to speak during the public comment session at the end of the meeting, please sign in on the white sheets provided in the front of the room. Please turn off all cell phones or place them on vibrate. If you must take a phone call, leave the chambers. And Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Colbus.
Here.
Koziel. Here. Brown.
Here.
Armstead.
Here.
Crosby Hurling.
Here.
Sadowski.
Here.
Sheehy.
Here.
Yamakaitis.
Here.
Medina.
Here.
Kaczynski.
Here.
Mr. Moore.
Here. We have some presentation time that I'd like to, before we do that, move into the minutes. Approval of minutes for a motion, please, of September 17, 2013 meeting.
Council President, I ask for approval of the minutes from September 17, 2013, and seek a second.
Second. Mr. Colbus.
Yes.
Koziel.
Abstain.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Crosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yamakaitis.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. I'd like to ask, we're going to have three presentations tonight. We have a presenter, Mr. Robert Clark, on behalf of the Marine Commandant. I'd like to ask Mayor Gabunka and Councilwoman Yamakaitis to come forward.
Just put your web up.
It's on.
Good evening, City of Linden residents, council members, council president, and Mayor. Thank you for letting me be here on behalf of the Secretary of the Navy to present these few honors to an individual who is a staple in the city of Linden. Some people call him Pops, I call him Jughead, but I could tell you, just give me a few minutes just to talk about this gentleman. At 17 years old, this young man asked his parents to sign his enlistment papers to join the Marine Corps during World War II. He wanted to join his brothers Al, who was serving in the Navy, Ernie, John, and Nick, who were in the Army. He served in the United States Marines as a top ball turret gunner on a B-25, participating in bombing missions over in the Pacific during World War II, where he received the Distinguished Flying Cross with 4 gold stars. His name is also installed on the Aircraft Roll of Honor in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Now, being a top ball turret gunner was one of the most dangerous occupations in the air wing of the Marine Corps. Just picture yourself, a young 17, 18-year-old male, sitting up on the top of the fuselage of an airplane, flying up to 24,000 feet with nothing but the ground below you. With the Japanese Army and air, they're coming at you, flying in, you're up in this little glass enclosure with a 50 caliber machine gun, trying to knock them out, because fighter planes only take so far on an escort, and you're on your own. So it takes guys like this that go out there and put their lives on the line so that we can enjoy the fruits of this great nation that we live in. And it's an honor to know my good friend here. And without further ado, I'd like to read a couple things. If you would join me along with your daughter Alexis, which is right here, and Todd, come on up. Come on there, Sergeant.
We got it, smile, will you? Come back and give you that shake.
This is from the Secretary of the Navy, June 20th, 2013. You know how politics are. It takes time. Dear Mr. Diaz, on behalf of the Department of the Navy, I am pleased to send you my best wishes and congratulations on the occasion of your 90th birthday. Our nation owes you special heartfelt gratitude for your service during World War II. Your sterling example serves as a model for all servicemen and women to emulate. The United States Navy, Marine Corps, and this nation remains great because of you and others like you who have consistently upheld the core values of service. Please accept my best wishes and much happiness in the years ahead. Sincerely, Ray Mavis, Secretary of the Navy. Now, it would take some young Lance Corporal to type this in type that I can't even see what glasses on.
You should have done it in Portuguese.
Right, Portuguese, I no habla.
No, but you'll get there.
Basically, it says, thank you, Sergeant Anthony Diaz, United States Marine Corps. This United States flag, number 252, is meant to express the gratitude for your service and sacrifice while serving in the United States Marine Corps. Semper Fidelis, Gunnery Sergeant Mario Monaco. This flag was flown over to Iwo Jima Memorial in Washington, D.C. It is numbered, and it's yours.
I didn't do that. You did a good job, too.
Now, in the Marine Corps, we have officers, and we follow directions, but we only listen to really one guy, and that's the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, because he knows all. He is like the Grand Poobah. So he sent you a letter, too. Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, Sergeant Anthony Diaz, congratulations on this amazing milestone. Here's to our wonderful past and present future. I would like to thank you for your dedicated service to the Marine Corps and selfless sacrifice to the country. Happy belated 90th birthday. Always faithful, Michael P. Barrett, 17th Sergeant Major of the United States Marine Corps. And with that, he has a Sergeant Major coin from the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps.
Thank you.
You know, in closing, I've traveled this great nation, and I've served Major the last 14 years of my career, and I've had the opportunity to go and see Marines all over this country and abroad, and it gives great pleasure to always thank them for their service. But in my closing 30 years leaving the Marine Corps, retiring, it's no better privilege to stand here amongst a true American patriot and thank him for his service. And Godspeed. Thanks, my friend.
You're welcome. I should have
Oh, it's just being around all the time.
Don't be afraid of him when we come. I'll climb up his back. Thank you. You gonna sit there next to me? You gonna give me a drink?
Yeah, I'll give you a rub. I'll give you a rub down.
So,
Probably most likely 1 to 2 bombing missions. Because you have to realize that the fighter planes can only go so far. And then it was on the bombers themselves, and they only had the top bulk turret gunner, the front gunner, and the bottom. So
2 missions were...
2
life
missions,
expectancy.
yeah.
Thank you so much. We thank you. The breast cancer survivor, Joanne Wilkerson, Councilwoman Cosby Hurling, would you please come up front, please?
Good evening, everyone. We all know that this October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and since I've been seated on council, every year we try and recognize survivors or organizations that do good works. So tonight we're going to recognize our friend and neighbor, Mrs. Joanne Wilkerson, as she celebrates 20 years as a survivor of breast cancer. So I'll read the resolution, and before we read the resolution, just breast cancer affects men and women, and it also affects your entire family. So if there's a test, we know there's a test. Get the testing, the mammogram testing. Age 40, you want to do it every year after that, because prevention and early detection saves lives. So the resolution honoring Mrs. Joanne Wilkerson, a 20-year survivor of breast cancer. Whereas every 69 seconds, somewhere in the world, a woman dies of breast cancer. Every 3 minutes, a woman in the United States is diagnosed with breast cancer. And every 13 minutes, a woman loses her battle with the disease. And whereas worldwide, breast cancer is the most frequently diagnosed life-threatening cancer in women, and the leading cause of cancer death among women, and whereas increased public awareness and improved screening have led to earlier diagnosis and survival rates of breast cancer have improved significantly, whereas Joanne Wilkerson was diagnosed with breast cancer in September of 1993, and whereas the next year and a half, twice a week, Joanne endured the rigors of chemotherapy. Whereas Joanne Wilkerson has since been recognized by the City of Elizabeth for her dedication to her community, and was also voted Community Woman for the 4th Ward. And whereas Joanne Wilkerson is the proud mother of Alvin and Vanessa Wilkerson, and the grandmother of 7, and the great-grandmother of 8. And whereas this September, Joanne Wilkerson celebrated 20 years of being cancer-free. And whereas the month of October has been declared Breast Cancer Awareness Month nationwide. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the mayor and council of the city of Linden, recognize Joanne Wilkerson for her courage in fighting this disease and wish to thank her for her dedication to serve her community. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be placed in the minutes of the city council for the city of Linden and be appropriately presented to Ms. Joanne Wilkerson. God bless you. Take a picture.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I want to thank God for saving me to see this day. And I want to thank the mayor and all the council to honor me. May God bless you.
Councilwoman Cosby Hurley, I ask you to stay on the floor, please. And we have a third presentation tonight. That will be the Linden Youth Soccer. Mayor Gabunka, could you join us on the floor, please?
Could the Linden Diamonds all step forward, please? Recently, this girls' soccer team, under 14, known as the Linden Diamonds, bestowed a great honor on the city of Linden. They were invited in a tournament for the girls' premier group in Aurora, Colorado. They competed against the best in our nation, and they won second place, representing the state of New Jersey and the city of Linden throughout the entire country. So it's an honor for me as the mayor to thank these young ladies for their hard efforts and work, and I want you to know that the city of Linden and its governing body and myself are extremely proud of all your accomplishments, and also to the coaches who directed them to becoming number 2 in the nation. I want to thank you, and on behalf of the council and myself, we each have resolutions which I would like to read. One resolution, and we will pass out all the resolutions to you young ladies who are so deserving of this award. Whereas the Linden Youth Soccer League was founded in 1997 to keep our kids playing soccer, and whereas the Linden Youth Soccer League is associated with the Mid-New Jersey Youth Soccer Association, a soccer league incorporated to provide competition for our youth teams and the U.S. Club Soccer. Whereas the Linden Diamonds, an under-15 girls traveling team, has been together since the fall of 2009 under Coach Michael Nito, assistant coaches Rich Bornstead and Matt Cardonoza, manager Maria Saris, team members Leela Allen, Brittany Bornstad, Zara Butler, Riley Delaney, Lendy Lopez, Tyra McQueen, Flora Micheludis, Titana Nito, Ashley Paulino, Avila Pitts, Madison Rosa, Miranda Rosa, Mahila Saris, Desiree Sequeira, Haley Tomaso, and Markella Veas. I think I did that pretty good. Whereas the Diamonds, playing high competitive soccer, won the sectional finals and were chosen to attend the National Cup 12 finals from July 18th to 21st at Aurora Sports Park in Aurora, Colorado. And whereas their determination and abilities earned them a second-place finish among all of the teams participating from around the United States. And whereas the mayor and city council of the city of Linden wish to recognize the Diamonds. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Linden do congratulate the Linden Diamonds and all their coaches. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the minutes of the council of the city of Linden, and that a copy herein be presented to all the coaches and players of the Linden Diamonds in permanent recognition of the foregoing. Signed, James D. Moore, President of Council, Richard Grabunka, Mayor. Congratulations. Will you hand each one out?
For the mayor, for the coach. Get one back.
All right.
while the mayor's there handing out the awards to our girls, which are so deserving, just want to give like a brief history on how they got to the tournament. In July, they played in the Mid-Atlantic Regional Finals, which they played very hard. And in fact, they beat the number 2 ranked team in New York to get to the finals in Aurora, Colorado. And to get to Aurora was a feat in itself. Without the help of this community, the girls wouldn't have got there. And so there's a lot of people to thank, and I don't want to go through this whole list, but there's a few people in this room that I would like to thank. Anna Kosinski from the 10th Ward, and also Mayor Gabunka was very instrumental in getting funds for us to get to Colorado. The girls worked very hard. They had garage sales that they did and fundraisers to get the money to go to Colorado. But we have a little presentation for the mayor that we'd like to give to him, not only for the Mayor's Youth Commission, which he puts out to the youth in this great city, but for his personal commitment to the youth in Linden. So we have a little presentation for you, Mayor. This is one of the shirts that we won as finalists there. And it says, presented to Mayor Richard Gabunka for his continued support to the youth of Linden, the Linden Diamonds U14 Girls Premier Group. That's these girls here. They've really turned out to be fine young ladies, and I'm very proud of them. Thank you, Mayor.
I'm just honored to receive this, and I'm going to hang it up in a place in my office so everybody could see it. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone. I'd like to move into our ordinances on hearing. This is the date and time established for public hearings for ordinance on hearing. Ordinance 5757.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-10, parking prohibited at all times, shall be amended as follows. Add Roselle Street West.
Mr. Clerk, has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone in the audience wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing none, I ask for a motion, please.
Council President, I ask for a motion of ordinance 57-57 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yamakitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5758, Mr. Clerk.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2, Administration, and Chapters 16, Solid Waste Management as follows. Chapter 2, Administration, Section 16-8, Garbage Collection Annual Charges. Add Section 16-8.2, Administration, 16-8.3, Collection of Fee, and 16-8.4, Enforcement.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone in the audience wishes to be heard on this resolution? Come up, please, and state your name and address.
Oh, we forgot to turn it around. Chris got it. Thank you, Chris. Sorry.
Good evening. My name is Tanya Johnson. I live 724 Jackson Avenue. Okay. I'm here in question of the ordinance that we were talking about. To start it off, October the 1st, I called Mayor Bunk in regards to this because I got the notice with no explanation. He told me, go to his website, and he hung up on me. I was very destroyed on that. I can't understand how we just up and get a bill with no explanation. When I come to pay this, I find out that there was an explanation dated June the 28th. 13 years we've been in a hole, which it should have came out, but it didn't. But when it was trash day for bulk, we got a notice in April to discuss there may not be any bulk. My concern is, why did it take you all this time to tell us anything? 13 years, and now we have to pay for someone to pick up our garbage. What's going to happen with the recycle? That should be like, we shouldn't have to recycle anymore if we're paying for garbage. But I'm very upset and I'm very distraught. I called the mayor to discuss it. He hung up on me. I got no resolution there. I waited to come to this meeting to present him with this because it was unfair, and that's not businesslike. And I noticed in the notice that you put out, which I never received, why did it take him 13 years to tell us this, and now he just threw $60 on us? I would really have liked to something come to my mail to let me know where we stood. Then this way, it wouldn't have been like this for 13 years. Now we're really in a hole.
Let me see if I can get you a response. Mr. Hudak?
Can I comment, please?
Mayor?
Ma'am, I don't remember hanging up on you. I don't hang up on people that call unless they get extremely abusive with me. But I don't remember, and I wouldn't treat anybody like that, because this was an issue that created a lot of complaints to my office, and I fielded every one of those complaints. So I really disagree that I was rude and hung up on you.
I disagree with you. I remember the date. I got this bill October the 1st. The first number that I called was your office. You told me, I asked you, what is this benefiting us? Tell me something. You said, go to my website, and you hung up on me. If there was a recording, we could come to the issue. I was not disrespectful. I was really excited. There's no explanation. I'm paying $60 for what? I'm a single parent, and I know a lot of people here, they may not want to say anything, but this is a travesty. You waited until 13 years to tell us. I got the notice. When I received this notice, here it is right here.
Ma'am?
When I paid
Ma'am,
for it.
I don't understand the 13-year part.
That's what it says. That's what it says here. It tells you, it goes on to explain, and then it also explains that we've been in this deficit with this problem for 13 years, which I didn't understand.
It was a financial concern. That's
Yes,
what it is.
but we should have been known, just like with the other notice. Here, you tell us about the bulk issue. I see everybody's name on it. This was dated April. This is dated June.
All right, let me see if I can get you an answer. Mr.
Thank
Hudak,
you.
was there any communication sent out? Are you aware of?
I'm not aware of any, and Mr. Moore, this particular ordinance just deals with administrative procedures for appeals under the prior ordinance that the council adopted. So this ordinance does not impose anything. It simply sets up the appeal processes, that if someone has a disagreement, they would make an appeal.
So what we're doing here is that we realize it's not a perfect ordinance, and we've developed an appeal process for people who have, not everybody's cookie cut, their
Right.
individual problems.
Right.
And that will be the outcome of the vote tonight, whether or not we develop this
Okay.
process.
Well, that helps me a lot, because like I said,
And-
I wouldn't just make something up. I remember the date because I was really upset, because me being a voter and voting for him, is this what I get? A hung-up call?
We're trying to stay on.
Yes, we are, but, you know, if I call anyone, the councilman, I'm sure they will listen to me to help me out.
Had you first called the council person?
Yes, I've talked to him in person. I've also mentioned this to him. I was very upset. I work. I really can't come
Let's see
to
how the
this.
vote goes tonight.
Okay, well, I'll sit and wait. Thank you very much. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Council President, you gotta.
Would you come up and state your name in 3 minutes?
Yes, Paul Sharpie resides at 315 Second Avenue. Can you explain to the residents exactly what this ordinance means, what the appeal process will be for them, in case they don't have an income enough to cover this extra burden on their just say they're getting Social Security and
Thank you.
all that.
Mr.
Yeah.
Hudak, could you elaborate
Can
on
you
the
explain
ordinance?
to the residents what their appeal process will be?
I'm going to have an answer for you.
Again, it simply sets up an appeal process procedure. If you disagree with the bill, you can file an appeal and you get it with the tax collector, the same as if you have a disagreement with your water sewer bill.
So the residents understand exactly, if you can't afford this $60 for just some reason, anytime, you put an appeal process through your tax, right? Right, Mr. Hudak?
Mr. Armstead.
Or Mr.
Just for the public's edification, once we put this surcharge in place, one of the first things we realized is that there are problems. We have people who own two-family homes, who were once listed as two-family homes, and now they're no longer two-family homes because one of the apartments may have been vacant for years, and they shouldn't have to pay for 2 units. There are properties in town, all over town, that are just like this. So what we had to establish is some sort of appeals process, okay? Because first of all, a lot of people don't agree with the tax, and a lot of people can't afford the tax. And for those of you who have unique situations, that you have to be able to appeal it.
Right.
Okay, Council President Moore and I, we went out to a couple of locations, even a couple businesses in Linden, and we find that although we're charging some of the proprietors $30 a month surcharge, we find that some of those establishments are producing very little trash at all. So we're really going to have to really address this thing as a governing body across the board, not just for the residents, but just for the tax, for businesses as well in town. So the appeals process is probably going to give us an opportunity to take a greater look at any problems that we have with the surcharge, and that's basically what the whole thing is about.
Council President, just want to clarify one thing.
City Attorney?
That Mr. Shelby said, this is not an appeal an incomes-based appeal. As the councilman said, it's if you have a unique circumstances that you've had a two-family that you've only been renting as a one-family and you want to appeal it, that would be taken into consideration, but it is not an income-based appeal.
Thank you, Mr. Hudak. Motion on this, please? Over here. Please come to the microphone.
Hi, Vivian Simons, 1100 East Blanky Street, Linden. I know he just made comments on the situation, which I have. I own a two-family house. No one's lived in one unit for years.
That's exactly what you need for this to pass tonight.
Okay. You also want to address the sewer charges?
No, that's not.
Thank you.
5758, comments. Seeing no more comments, I'll ask for a motion.
Council President, I make a motion for the passage of ordinance 57-58 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Calvis?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
No.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5759, Mr. Clerk.
An ordinance to vacate a portion of a roadway known as Hampton Street in accordance with the minor subdivision plan of lots 9.1 and 9.2, Block 470, Lot 7.1, Block 471.
Thank you. Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Has there been written communication been received?
No, sir.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on the ordinance? On my right, center, on my left. Seeing none, I ask for a motion.
I move to close the public hearing of ordinance 57-59 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Calvis?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a comment about this particular ordinance. Just for the public's edification, ShopRite has also sued to prevent this development from going forward, the same way they've done with the Walmart development on the highway. So I think it's only fair to the public know that we may find ourselves in the same situation with a development that cannot be jump-started because of an organization has decided to sue to prevent them from moving forward. No. And my vote is yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes, and since this is in the 6th Ward, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. We'll move into the consent agenda. All items listed with asterisks are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted with one motion. There'll be no separate discussion on these items unless council members or citizens so request. In the event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in a normal sequence on the agenda. We have items 1 through 9. Anyone on my right, center, or my left? I'll ask for a motion then.
Mr. Council President, I move items 1 to 9 on the consent agenda and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. I'll ask, we're going to move into committee reports. Mr. Kalbas, Council Ward Member 1.
Thank you, Council President. I have a report from the Engineering Committee. Last month, we rejected bids for the resurfacing of Orchard Terrace, Aruda Street, Tremley Point Road, East 12th Street, Princeton Road, Ferber Ave, Morristown Road, and John Street parking lot. The low bid was more than 16% over the engineer's estimate. We rebid the project this month, and we're able to save $22,000. A contract will be awarded to Stetlow Excavation tonight. The contract reconstructing citywide sidewalks started on October 8th. The engineering department tried to address every council member's request, but some locations had to be postponed until next year. Any new requests will also have to wait until 2014. From the First Ward, I have a limited amount of leaf bags left, so any constituent in the First Ward who is in need of one, you can contact me at 925-5568. And that concludes my report, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Kozia.
Thank you, Council President. I'd just like to report on the financial report for the Division of Transportation and Parking, the collection of parking meters, railroad daily lots, railroad parking permits, and merchant parking permits. Between the collections for the New York Trenton side credit card transaction, parking meter, and railroad permits, a grand total of $73,889.83. Very quickly, Public Properties Committee met this past week at the LMPC Center. Both committee members were present. I thank Councilman Kalbas and Councilman Sheehy for attending. I also thank Mr. Luciano and Mr. Copland attending in Mr. McDonald's absence. We had a big agenda and took care of a lot of items, and I hope whatever items council people had, they'll be addressed as quickly as possible. Of course, at least we're getting answers, and not that we haven't in the past, but we're going to get answers and hopefully resolution to a lot of requests that are being put forth. Just for public information, I did step down as chairman of the committee effective yesterday due to a redirection of my efforts on the newly resurrected ad hoc committee on workforce restructuring, which I put a lot of time and effort in over the past several years, and it looks like my last 2.5 months on council will be directed a lot towards the work on that committee. Also, the Technology Committee did not meet this past month, but I did put together a pretty comprehensive 8-page RFP for the redesign, development, implementation, and hosting of a new official website for the municipality. I'm going to run that by my committee members, have them take a look at it, and I will then submit it to council. I think everybody can take a PDF, except maybe 1 or 2 council members, but we'll get hard copy to everybody, and I'd like some input probably in the next week or 2. If anybody has any questions, they can call me, but we'd like to get this out to prospective developers and designers as soon as possible. And other than that, Sunday, October 27th, 2013, is the Halloween parade. I think we're stepping off at about 1 o'clock. A lot of work being done by a really, really great committee. These people put their heart and soul into this event every year. Hope to see everybody out there. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Honorable Councilman Richard Kozia. In that vein, what the councilman indicated, stepping down to devote his energies to another committee, I've appointed Councilman Brown to be the chairman of Public Property. Mr. Brown, you have a report for us?
Thank you, Council President. Not for public property, but I do have one for the Finance Committee. Approval is requested for the following finance actions. The payment of bills totaling $876,826.46. The bills have been signed by the mayor, council president, and finance chairman, and a detailed check register and vouchers are on file in the clerk's office. I move for approval and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yamakitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Okay. Furthermore, I just want to let residents know, last month, about a week after the council meeting, the council met with the department heads and our financial professionals. As I mentioned before, we were going to have a special meeting addressing the city's finances as far as going into the next 5 years. I mean, this is something I've talked about for 2-3 years prior, and this is something that we're moving towards now, is to better understand our situation. You know, we have some early projections as far as how much we're expecting in recurring revenue and expenses for the next 5 years. And so within the next couple of months and years to come, a lot of tough decisions are going to have to be made. One of the purposes of this meeting, and I want residents to know, we've heard a lot of feedback, and one of the big issues is this garbage surcharge. Nobody wants this. I hear a lot that, you know, some council members want this, or we're going to increase this. Well, one of the purposes of this meeting last month was to see how we can fill up this gap that we know that we have, so that we can get rid of this surcharge sometime in the future. So I just want to give residents a quick little update on that. Also, unfortunately, tonight, I don't know if the police chief will talk about it, but we did have an accident on a corner of Wood Avenue and Elizabeth Avenue. I mention that because on Thursday, the Union County will be approving a consultant contractor to go out and do a study on Wood Avenue. Again, for the last 2 years, I've been saying we need some type of traffic study done. The county's stepping up, and they will be approving a bid to have a traffic study done at this intersection. Other than that, that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Armstead?
Yes, Mr. President, I have the following reports from the licensing division. We hereby submit a monthly report for September 2013. The office issued 45 dog licenses and 130 miscellaneous licenses and collected $4,829. The following permits and transcripts were issued by the city clerk's office during the month of September 2013, and fees received are as follows. 112 birth and death and marriage transcripts for $1,663. There were 22 marriage and civil union licenses for $66, with a state revenue of $550. There were 8 miscellaneous revenues for $21.31. There were 8 bingo raffles for $160, 141 EDRS vital stats for $1,635. There was 1 burial permit fee for $5, for a total of 292 total transactions. The grand total was $4,100.31, with $550 going to the state. With regards to things that are related to the 4th Ward, anyone who needs leaf bags, you can give me a call at 908-377-6384, or you could stop by my house if you want to during the course of the evenings. We have a limited supply left. We have a situation on Jackson Avenue, which has been forwarded to the engineering department. We have a collapsed sewer. Mr. Verchek has informed me that he will be trying to find out what's going on there and will take the appropriate action to repair it. We also have been examining a comprehensive plan. Jimmy Moore and myself, Council President Moore and myself, have been looking at a more comprehensive way to do our recycling in an effort to try to figure out how we can pare back this $10 a month surcharge that we're assessing everybody. We're going to be looking at recycling and the way we handle garbage a lot more differently. We hope to have a report complete for the rest of council by the end of this year. And it's our intention, like I said, to be able to pare back that $10 that we're assessing homeowners. We're not going to promise you we can do it right away, but we do have to look at ways to try to figure out how we can offset that expenditure for households. Tomorrow, we have a special election for our United States Senate. For residents in the 4th Ward, the last election was at First Baptist Church because they were doing repairs at school number 5. I want to inform everybody that we're going back to school number 5, and school number 5 is located on Bauer Street in between Middlesex Street and East Curtis Street, so you can return back to your normal polling district. Also, November 5th, we have an election coming up. That will be a general election, so all advised to come out and vote. And we have a school board election as well that will be conducted on November 5th. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Cosby Hurley.
Thank you. Councilman Armstead, I'd like to invite you to the recycling committee meeting that we're going to have next month.
Oh,
you can share your ideas since I'm the chairwoman of that committee. Thank you in advance. Want to inform everybody that our negotiations committee is meeting this month, the 24th. We've already sat down with our labor professional and we've gone over the supervisor's contract, so we're going to be going through the other contracts as well and try and move this forward so we can get our negotiations started, because ultimately, if we don't have a new contract, everything that's in place now stays until we settle a contract. So that's really not the idea. We want to get things moving so that we can look for some savings in the contracts, with the exception of our fire, right? You guys have an extension? Okay. Huh? Police and fire, because they stepped up when it was time for the budget, and they took those concessions. I want to say congratulations to our cultural committee, all of the members, all of the volunteers. We had a great time. It was truly a September to remember this year. And I also want to thank Ocean Explorers, who donated the wetsuit for me in the dunk tank. We had a great time. We raised lots of money for the Superior Officers Association. And I'm looking forward to next year and the tree lighting this year put on by the cultural committee. Congratulations to my neighbor, Crystal Kinder, for inviting me to be his aide at the Pulaski Day Parade when he marched for the St. Teresa contingent from Linden. It was a good time. You guys missed it because Chris was out there. He was the Grand Marshal of that parade. So thanks for having me. Huh? I have pictures to prove it, trust me. Okay. For those of you on my email list, if you're not on the email list or you have not been getting the emails, email me at rcosbyhurling@linden-nj.org, because I'm sending out tidbits of information periodically. One of the most recent ones was the information about the Rawway Art Project, and we just had some members here tonight from the New York, New Jersey Baykeepers, and they had recommended to us that we ask the Army Corps of Engineers to do a study, because there is going to be 29 feet of contaminated soil in Carteret, but, you know, because they're going to put 2 tons of contaminated soil, it could potentially, we're not sure, impact us here in Linden when it comes to flooding. So while we put out a request through the clerk's office for any council member that was supportive of asking Congressman Donald Payne Jr. to seek the Army Corps of Engineers study, myself, Councilwoman Yamakaitis, and Councilman Sadowski put out the letter, and we got notification today that, yes, the congressman is going to ask. So the next step is for the full council to maybe ask the state just to wait until we get this study so we know whether or not Linden is or is not going to be impacted by any type of flooding. So if you want to get some information through email, email me, and I'll be glad to, put you on my list so you get the regular emails. Charles Street Park, we have the rendering available. We've been waiting for our park. We were told different dates, different times, different reasons. The funding came from the county freeholders. We got the money back in the spring, so we should expect our park to be completed by the spring of 2014. If you'd like to see the proposed plan of the photos, again, I can email those to you. In the 5th Ward, we have completed street pavings on several of our streets. Lots of sidewalks have been repaired. And I just want to make the neighbors aware on the side streets, Nora Drive, Bernard, Grant, anything that borders East St. George's Avenue, they are going to come back and they're going to come in. You'll probably see spray paint. That is where they're going to come in and actually pave that portion of the road too. What happens is some of the curbs are extremely high when they put handicaps in, so the scooters and the wheelchairs are having difficulty getting up on the curb. So they're not finished. It will be done. We have a community meeting on October 30th. We usually have them every 3 months. This year, we're going to do, after we do our business, we're going to celebrate Hispanic Heritage, which ended on October 15th, and we're going to invite our councilman from the 9th Ward to come celebrate with us as the first Hispanic council member for the city of Linden. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to have light refreshments. Everybody's welcome. We always have the community meetings. It's going to be at 6:30 at the John Street Rec Center. I'll let the mayor give more information about another event, which is annual. The Harvest Festival, which is Mayor's Youth Commission puts on, they're going to do it the next night. That's going to be at the John Street Center as well. I think that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Robert Sadowski.
Thank you, Council President. Just a few remarks. First, mentioning Chris Lukenda, I want to congratulate him. We rode on his bus. I guess I paid my dues because I was sitting next to Councilwoman Roshana Cosby the whole time. So it was a good time. No, but I'm just mentioning that. So congratulations again. Please, we talk with the police. A lot of break-ins, a lot of robberies. We mention this, one of the councilmen mentions this at least once a month. Please, don't let anyone in your house. Secondly, what they seem to be hitting too are houses that are up for sale. Now, if you have a house that's up for sale on your block, please watch the people going in. You know, be a good neighbor. Do something just in case it happens. So please watch out for them. As it was mentioned before, Councilman Armstead, the Wawa project was all signed, sealed, and delivered. The people from the neighborhood were happy with it. Everything was worked out with the fire department, and now comes ShopRite again, and they throw a monkey wrench in it. I mean, I have no idea why ShopRite would want to stop a Wawa from being there. I don't know, but that's what's happening now. So please remember that. They're the ones that are stopping it. We're still working with the state on the traffic light on Clinton Street and the highway. This started about 5 months ago. It's still in the process, and the state takes a long time to do anything with it. Let's see. Don't forget the Halloween parade is coming up. That was October 27th. Please come out, watch it. It's a nice time. Have the children, grandchildren, have them come out. It's a fun time over there. Also on a Halloween thing, Sixth School is having a trunk or treat. That's where you park the car and you open your trunk and the children come around. And that's on November 1st at 6:30. So if you're in that area, please come down, help out, or whatever you want to do. The leaf bags, as we mentioned before, haven't found out definitely what's happening, but if you need leaf bags, please give me a call. If I'm not there, my wife is always there. We'll leave a message, and we'll get back to you. I'll get the leaf bags back to you. Just happy to report that the milling and paving on East Linden Avenue along Rosedale Cemetery was completed today. The contractor will saw and seal the joints and stripes to centering by the end of the month, so it's almost completed. Funds for the road were paid mostly by a grant from the New Jersey Department of Transportation, so the city really didn't pay that much. Also, as concerning the senior citizens, the Linden Recreation Department is holding a Community Health and Wellness Day. This is at the Linden Multipurpose Center on 1025 John Street. It's on Friday, October 25th from 9 to 3 a.m. So if you're interested and you can, please come down. Since I'm talking about the senior citizens, we still have two good senior citizen clubs. We have the Tremley Point Senior Citizen Club that meets on a Monday, and the Men's Senior Citizen Club meets on a Tuesday. If you're interested, you want to meet new people, you just want to get out, please look into it and join. It's real cheap. I think it's $5 a year, and you get a lot of coffee and donuts. So if you're interested, please come down. Thank you, Council President. That ends my report.
Thank you, Councilman Sadowski. Councilman Sheehy?
Thank you, sir. I would sincerely like to thank all the volunteers for the September to Remember. We promised the best one ever, and the Culture Committee pulled it off. If you weren't there, you missed out. Shame on you. It was great. I don't think we can make it any better than it was. I would like to put a special thanks out to BBC Machine and the Garden State Chevelle Club for assisting me with the car end of it. You know, everybody really, a lot of work goes into that, and the committee really needs to be recommended for doing such a great job. And the Halloween parade's coming up. I need a couple convertible cars, so if anybody has a convertible, please contact me for the Halloween parade. I'd like to comment on the soccer team. Them girls came in second place, but I'll tell you what, that was the prettiest soccer team I ever seen in my life. Yep. End of my report, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Sheehy. Councilwoman Michelle Yamakaitis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Approval is requested for the following personnel actions. In the Fire Department, the promotion of Jason Iozzi, firefighter, to the position of Fire Lieutenant effective November 1st, 2013, at the salary of $102,436. Number 2, in the Fire Department, the promotion of Robert Clark, firefighter, to the position of Fire Lieutenant effective November 1st, 2013, at the salary of $102,436. Number 3, in the Fire Department, the paid FMLA leave for employee number 295 for the period September 6, 2013 through November 30th, 2013. Number 4, in the Fire Department, paid FMLA leave for employee number 100118 for the period of November 1st, 2013 through November 30th, 2013. Number 5, in the Fire Department, paid FMLA leave for employee number 107073 for the period of November 1st, 2013 through November 30th, 2013. Number 6, in the Fire Department, the hiring of the next 12 eligible candidates pending successful completion of all examinations and background checks at the starting annual salary of $48,081 effective November 6, 2013, to fill existing vacancies in the department, subject to successful completion of each prospective candidate's completion of the criminal history background check and the medical and psychological examinations. The extension is due to the federal government shutdown. Names are appended. I'll read the names. Timothy C. DeSantos, Gregory D. Weber, Justin A. Brose, Daniel K. Ludecki, Christopher M. Hasko, Michael P. Perizzoli, Stephen J. Kuko, Scott R. Geigerich, Kyle A. Perizzoli, Peter Ronsky, Courtney A. Odom, and Scott M. Solsky. Number 7, in the Police Department, the unpaid leave of absence for employee number 236 from August 1st, 2013 through November 30th, 2013. Number 8, in the Police Department, the paid FMLA leave for employee number 562 for the period of September 9, 2013 to October 9, 2013. Number 8, in the Police Department, the paid FMLA leave for employee number 462 for the period of July 29, 2013 to September 22, 2013. Number 10, in the Police Department, the paid FMLA leave of absence for employee number 106723 for the period of August 18, 2013 to September 28, 2013. I make a motion to table number 10 and ask for a second.
Second. 17.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Number 11, in the Police Department, the paid FMLA leave of absence for employee number 88 from September 22nd, 2013 to October 13th, 2013. Number 12, in the municipal court, correction of the start date for Susan Sanchez from September 23rd, 2013 to September 30th, 2013. Number 13, in the municipal court, accepting the resignation of Robert Latini as a municipal court attendant. Triel Smalls will assume the additional hours not to exceed 19.5 hours due to the resignation of Mr. Latini. Number 14, in the police department, the change of the job description for parking enforcement officer to permit all such title employees to issue summonses for municipal ordinances. The council instructs the police chief to prepare general orders for said officers to enforce quality of life ordinances. Number 15, in the Department of Public Property and Community Services, termination of Al Tuan Newton effective October 1st, 2013. Number 16, in the Department of Public Property and Community Services, Division of Public Works, the paid FMLA leave for employee number 864 from August 26, 2013 to October 31st, 2013. Number 17, in the Department of Public Property and Community Services, the paid FMLA leave for employee number 1063 from September 12, 2013 to November 11, 2013. I make a motion to table and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Number 18, in the Board of Health, intermittent FMLA leave for employee number 107450 from May 20th, 2013 through December 31st, 2013. Number 19, in the Board of Health, intermittent FMLA leave for employee number 1018 from September 11, 2013 through November 1st, 2013. Number 20, in the Division of Recreation, the granting of FMLA leave for employee number 908545 from September 4th, 2013 through September 22nd, 2013, and unpaid FMLA leave from October 2nd, 2013 through November 4th, 2013. Number 21, in the Police Department, correction of the start date for Cynthia Cosby Woods to August 28, 2012. I make a motion for approval and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes to all, abstain on 15.
Armstead?
Yes.
Crosby Hurling?
Yes to all, with the exception of number 20, and I abstain on 21.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes on all.
Okay. I'd like to ask our firefighters, our new recruits, to please stand and be acknowledged. I would also like to ask our new lieutenants to please stand. Okay. I have a short report for the 8th Ward. As Mr. Sadowski mentioned about the New Jersey Department of Transportation grants, we were lucky to obtain these grants. What the criteria was a heavily trafficked roads with bus or truck traffic. So, like as he mentioned, East Linden Avenue, and also part of that project is South Park Avenue. They had started the curb work, but they will be continuing with the milling, so hopefully it will be completed shortly. Also, I wanted to make mention with the election tomorrow and in November, again, the polling place for the districts 3 and 4 for the 8th Ward is Firehouse number 3. And On Wednesday, October 30th, I would like to remind all the residents to please have your porch lights on, as we do usually every year in the 8th Ward, and to please call the police department if you see any suspicious activities. If anyone would like to join us in a patrol for a neighborhood watch, especially that evening, we're looking for volunteers. Please let us know. You can contact me at 925-2309 or email me at councilwomanmichelle@gmail.com. And also, if anybody is in need of leaf bags, please give me a call. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Medina from the 9th Ward.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. I have a couple of things for the 9th Ward. We had a successful joint yard sale last month. The 9th and 10th Ward had a joint yard sale. We had over 40 homes that participated. We look forward to doing it again next year in the spring. So if you're in the 9th Ward, definitely keep that in the back of your mind. I will definitely be putting that information out in the next newsletter. I also want to thank the Chief Schuhafer and the Linden Police Department for providing additional patrol for the yard sale. It was really helpful to have them out there. The chief was able to get extra units out there since we had over 40 homes, and it was good to see them out there, and the residents really appreciated it. Also, for the police department, they've been doing a great job enforcing the speed limit on Northwood Avenue. As you guys all know, one of the biggest problems in the 9th Ward is the speeding. So you will notice a police officer is there every other day in the morning on Northwood Avenue, and I hear it's been going really, really well. So I hope they continue to do a good job in the 9th Ward and hopefully throughout the city as well. So I want to, again, thank the Linden Police Department for doing that job for us in the 9th Ward and improving public safety in that area. I also want to warn residents that there are individuals going around pretending to be utility workers. Please do not open the door or let these people in. Utility companies rarely want to enter your home unless you call for service. If you suspect something, you see something strange, please call the police department, the non-emergency line, 908-474-8500. Unfortunately, one of our residents fell victim to this last week, and we're just trying to warn people. This is an ongoing scam that's been going on for quite a while in our police department, and also my colleagues here in council have been trying to spread the word, so I just want to reiterate and put the message out again. Also, if you guys been driving up and down Northwood Avenue, we had the good folks at Kane University that came out. On Saturday, they painted the walls underneath the train trestle. They did a great job. We hopefully look forward to doing a quick presentation for them next month, council meeting. But if you guys haven't checked it out, definitely go out there, take a walk on Northwood Avenue. It definitely livens up the area with the murals and some of the artwork that they done there. Also, we all heard that sidewalks are being repaired. I'm happy to report that the sidewalks around Paul Workmeister's Park, formerly known as Sunnyside Park, are now, they're starting to get repaired. So I'm actually happy that this has started. Our DPW team is actually taking care of that. Hopefully they'll have it completed in the next month or so. But if you have a sidewalk problem, please give me a call, 908-986-6100. Also, it has to be a problem with the sidewalk that's related to the tree or anything that's storm damage from Sandy's. But if you have a problem, please give me a call. That concludes the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. 10th Ward Councilman Adam Kaczynski, please.
Thank you, Council President. As the chairman of the Fire Committee, I'd also like to extend my congratulations to the 12 new hires and the 2 promotions to the Fire Department. Myself and my fellow council members on the committee, Councilwoman Yamakaitis and Councilman Sadowski, along with Chief Rizzo and the other associated individuals involved, balance a fine line to realize public safety and tax dollars and how this all plays out. And we want you to know that we have the fullest respect and belief that you will hold that type of mentality going forward. I wish you the best of luck in your careers, your new careers, and your continued careers. And I also want to mention to the public at large that these 12 hires came from a SAFER grant, a federal grant that is paying for the new hires for the next 2 years. And with the anticipated resignations and retirements in those 2 years, the cost should be negligible, if any, to our overall run. The 2 lieutenant promotions is actually going to wind up saving money because of overtime costs and projections for the December coming up. These promotions were about 2 months early, than expected, but it's going to wind up saving over $20,000 in projected overtime costs. So it's something we take very seriously in our committee, and I know council as a whole. And for a situation like this, I want to commend you, gentlemen, for taking this call, and best of luck in your career. Also, I'd also like to congratulate other recipients today. Mr. Diaz, thank you for your service, and Mrs. Wilkerson, thank you for being inspiration. Every time we have these presentations, it's probably my favorite time of the meeting because I get to see the fabric that makes up Linden. It's not just the 10th Ward, the 8th Ward, the 1st Ward, 3rd Ward. We're all members of the same city family. And I can appreciate every story that I hear, and it motivates me and inspires me. So I'd like to congratulate them both. And the Linden Diamonds, I was very honored to support that as well. The mayor, I think, put it succinctly. It made people in Colorado and people all over the place learn the word Linden because maybe they saw that Linden was the team that just beat them. So they're going to go home and say, who did you lose to? Oh, we lost to Linden. So a lot of places around the country are going to know Linden right now. And that's always a good thing to get our name out there, so I congratulate the team as well. And I also want to say to the 9th and 10th Ward participants in the yard sale, thank you for the participation. And Councilman Medina didn't mention that there was also a charitable aspect to it. There were 4 charities that benefited from the hard work of our individuals that went forward with this yard sale. We had enough members where we put out a little challenge. We said if enough people get involved, we'd make donations to charities. And sure enough, everybody got involved, and we were more than happy to make our contributions to charities. And I just want to mention the 4 charities that we did, because they're very worthwhile charities, and please consider them. It was the Jacqueline Wozniak Fund, the Friends of the Linden Animal Shelter, the Friends of the Linden Library. Excuse me. Having a little dust in my throat here. Oh, man. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And the Linden Presbyterian Church Food Ministry. Thank you for dealing with that. Again, it was the Friends of the Linden Animal Shelter, the Linden Presbyterian Church Food Ministry, the Jacqueline Wozniak Fund, and the Friends of the Linden Animal Shelter. So please, if you do want to consider making a donation, those are 4 charities that are heavily involved in the Linden City. And they're always looking for help, and I'd be more than happy to direct you, as well as Councilman Medina or anyone else up here, if you do have any questions about the charity or anything like that. Everyone up here pretty much mentioned over the last few months scammers, and it's the same in the 10th Ward. Please be very vigilant. What I'd like to say is if you live on a quiet street especially, generally you get to learn the cars around you. Always feel free to call the police non-emergency number and report a suspicious vehicle. Always feel free. That's your right as a taxpayer. That's the service they provide. So please, if you see a car you're not used to, if a car is parked the wrong way, if a car is there at 2 in the morning, if somebody's doing work in a house at 2 in the morning that you know is for sale, little things that pop in your mind, please give them a call and then follow up with me or your respective council person so we can follow up and see if it was anything. It's always better to be safer than sorry. With the foreclosed houses in the wards, a little segue there, they are some of the targeted houses for copper piping and things as that such. In the summer, they were problems because they were never maintained. Going along with that, we've been looking into different ways to give the city the most leverage we can to try to handle these houses through different ordinances and things of the such. So you'll see that in a few months, hopefully, as we hammer out the details on these things. And I also want to remind everyone to go out and vote tomorrow, the special election, and in November, the general election. Please remember, there's 2 elections this year. Make sure to make yourself, your voice heard as you go out. And that concludes my report, Mr. Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Mayor, before you excuse, do you have a report for us?
Yes, I do, Council President.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to express my appreciation for Gretchen Hickey. She was the one that ran the September to Remember. I mean, we had a lot of volunteers, but she was the point person that worked so hard for, I'd say, a good 4 months to coordinate that event and make it the success that it was. So again, Gretchen, I thank you as president of the Cultural Committee. Also, I'd like to mention that, as was stated before, October 27, 2 p.m., we're going to have one great Halloween parade, if weather permits. If you remember, the last 2 parades were canceled, one for the Halloween snowstorm and one for Sandy. But I think we'll get this one in, and there's about 5 bands. It's going to be the best Halloween parade yet, and my hat off to Carl and Audrey Pereira, the co-chairs of the parade, and Gary Luciano, and all the volunteers that will make that a successful event also. I just want to thank Mike Anderson, who's sitting in the room in front of me, from Kane College. He was the one that organized about 50 students from Kane College to paint underneath the railroad trestle to beautify that area. The price was right. All it cost us was pizza and materials, and if you look down there, it brightens up the whole neighborhood and that area, and that's the start of what we're going to do with beautification project. I think I've told most people before, we've got about $1 million from the Department of Transportation as a transit village city to use for solely beautification, and we're going to start at that train trestle and work out both North and Southwood Avenue to start beautifying that area. So you're going to start seeing that in the near future. And also, we didn't quite finish, Kane College didn't quite finish a few paintings, and we're fortunate enough to have Matt Lorenzetti, the arts teacher from Linden High School, and we're going to have some of the kids from Linden High School this Saturday at 9 o'clock for about 5 hours, finish up some of the unfinished business that Kane College did. So again, this is turning into a real community event, and it's good that everybody in the community participates.
Mr. Mayor, would you ask the gentleman to stand up to be recognized?
Very good. Mike, please stand up. Thank you, Council President. Also, as I usually do, I like to throw accolades at corporations that donate to the city of Linden, and one of them was Phillips 66. They donated $10,000 for us to use at Hawk Rise Sanctuary. That's a boardwalk in the forested wetlands off of Range Road. It's an area that you would be surprised would be in Linden, and we've had a tremendous success with people walking on the 1.5-mile boardwalk overlooking the Rollway River and the various animals in the forested wetlands. Also, Cox Printing donated $500 to Hawk Rise. So again, it shows you how corporations do care about the city and are working with us to beautify it and give environmental issues that would be appreciated by our residents and our students. Again, I'm going to just emphasize, and I know a couple of councilmen briefly touched on it, please, if you see anything suspicious, call the police. Even if it's 10 times it turns out to be a false alarm, that 11th time could be the real thing, and we could catch some criminals. And what's happening, and I'll elaborate a little more, is that homes that are either vacant or up for sale and vacant, these perpetrators are going in, breaking into the home, and stealing all the copper pipe. They don't even have the decency to shut off the water, and the cellars are flooded. So again, if you see looks like a contractor's truck or something, give the police a call. It doesn't hurt if you're wrong. We'd rather you be wrong, but that one time, you're right, we could put an end to these thieves who are, again, just devastating vacant houses or foreclosed houses. Also, as was stated, water company people are pretending to be water company people. Thieves are pretending to be water company people. They're preying on the elderly. They knock on the door. They have an ID tag around their neck. It looks to the elderly like they're official water people. They sweet talk themselves into the house, saying they want to inspect some of the pipes. They bring the elderly person downstairs into the cellar, while another perpetrator goes up into the bedroom and rifles through the people's valuable properties. There's no reason that the water company is going to come to your house unexpected. If they're going to come, they're going to call you, or you're going to call them. So if you see, if you have anything like that, or you hear a neighbor, please, again, call the police. Also, as was stated, we have some issues, let me speak for myself. I have some issues with ShopRite of Aviation Plaza. General Motors property, 188 acres, 2 years ago could have been developing that property. 35 acres fronting 1 and 9 is rezoned. We rezoned that from light industry to retail commercial. We're going to have a super Walmart there as an anchor store. Other stores sign letters of intent, Panda Express, Sonic, Golden Corral, and numerous other stores. But they will not sign a contract until they see Super Walmart having a groundbreaking, because they're the anchor store. Well, it turns out that 2 years ago, ShopRite sued the city of Linden for rezoning that property to 35 acres fronting 1 and 9. We went to the Superior Court, we won. We went to the Appellate Court, we won. The Supreme Court refused to hear it. Shortly thereafter, ShopRite filed another lawsuit against the city of Linden, saying we didn't do the process right for site plan approval. We went to Superior Court, we won. We went to the Appellate Division, we won. We are now awaiting a decision from the New Jersey Supreme Court. That decision should be coming any day. But lo and behold, the planning board gave site plan approval to Wawa, which is going to be fronting 1 and 9 between Pleasant Street and the railroad trestle, which is the 2 parking lots of General Motors. Wawa is a quality store. As the 6th Ward Councilman said, the residents were looking forward to having it there. And guess what? ShopRite filed a lawsuit against us again. They are nothing but selfish and looking out for their own profits. They do not care about the residents of Linden. If everything was built tomorrow on that property, $5.2 million in reoccurring revenues would occur. But again, we're getting lawsuit after lawsuit, and in my opinion, their whole strategy is to delay, 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 so that hopefully Super Walmart folds their tent and leaves. I mean, you see Burger King and McDonald's competing with each other. You see Lowe's and Home Depot competing together. But ShopRite evidently doesn't believe in competition. So I just want people to realize what ShopRite of Aviation Plaza is doing. ShopRites are individually owned. There's a ShopRite in Clark that a lot of people enjoy. Again, different owner. So I wanted people to be aware of that, because I'm getting annoyed at ShopRite and the owners of that store hurting the taxpayers of the city of Linden. And with that said, I'm ending my report, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and take care of yourself. We're going to move into resolutions 2013-362 through 2013-389. Public comments will be permitted on those specific resolutions to be removed from the consent approval. Please read the synopsis of the resolution, which have been prepared by the City Clerk's office. Each is informative and self-explanatory. However, if you wish to address a specific resolution, the council will entertain questions on it. Does anyone wish to remove a resolution from 362 to 389 on my right? Does anybody wish to move a resolution in the center of the room?
Stop playing.
Does anybody wish to remove a resolution on my left? Anybody in the chamber wish to remove it? Sir? A little louder. 388. Does that conclude your remarks, sir? 388. Anybody else in the chamber? Seeing none, I'll ask for a
Council
motion.
President?
Council President?
Yes.
389.
389 for the councilwoman.
And
Councilman Brown?
384.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
384.
384, thank you. Last call for removal. Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion on the remainder.
Council President,
Yes, sir.
I move resolutions 2013-362 through 2013-389, with the exceptions of 384, 388, and 389, and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 388, Mr. Sharpie, would you come up, please?
On this resolution, 388, on the vote that's taken tonight, are these two individuals off, or are they allowed to vote on this resolution?
Well,
You know, this position is by committee and all that. Will
yes,
any other
you're
council-
basically asking a parliamentary procedure question,
Yeah,
whether they
well, how
should
many other
abstain.
council members, were they attempted, like 10, 9?
I don't
Mr.
understand
Sheehy,
your que-
was his
Mr.
name
Sharpie?
brought into the,
Could you rephrase your question? I don't understand it.
on this, okay, Mr. Brown, Mr. Cosio steps down.
Correct.
So how was Mr. Brown brought up for this appointment? Were other council members
I'm
involved
the
in this?
chairman, I'm
You're
the
the chairman.
president, and through
Only
the
one
new-
person was brought to your attention?
I'm trying to answer your question.
Volunteer.
Due to the new ordinance that's been put into effect, I have the authority to appoint the chairman from the committee, and Mr. Brown joined the committee, and I appointed him chairman.
He volunteered.
Volunteer, he was even there.
Oh, but doesn't this have to go in front of a
Council
vote?
President?
Mr. Brown?
Mrs.
And,
Sharpie? Councilman Koziel wanted to step down. Council President asked if there was any volunteers. I volunteered.
And now being on the
Anyone else
committee,
volunteer? Did anyone else volunteer? Was this an open, or was this?
It was open.
Last night? This happened last night? This opening, once he stepped down,
yeah.
when was this brought up? In the close? Or was this brought up in public
Mr.
last
Moore.
night? I'd like to know when it was brought up.
It was an open, it was open, I was asked to be the chairman, and I'm on
Yeah,
enough
but
committees
what-
right now,
I'm
I'm on that
asking what
committee.
night it was
It
brought
was
up.
asked to me last
Last
night and today.
Last night.
That's your answer. Sit down.
And today?
Sit down.
It's been resolved.
Wait, I'm a resident, I pay taxes here.
I answered you. I said yesterday and today. You got to keep your
Mr.
jaw
Sheehy.
closed while I'm talking.
Okay.
So, that concludes that's the
Well,
answer.
does he have a right to vote on this? If
Well,
he's-
that's a separate question now.
Well, it's
He has a right to vote.
Does he get to vote?
Mr. Hudak, parliamentary question from Mr.
What was the
Sharp.
question? I couldn't hear Mr. Sharpie over here.
I said, does Mr. Brown have, if he's up for a position, is he allowed to vote on this resolution?
Yes.
Yes. It's a committee resolution. It's a procedural resolution.
All right, motion on 388, please.
Oh,
Motion,
coming. Council President, I move Resolution 2013-388 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
I want to qualify my vote. I want to thank Councilman Brown for volunteering for this committee. Yes.
Koziel?
I would also like to thank Councilman Brown for stepping up in this committee. Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yeah, I want to thank Councilman Brown, and yes,
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
yes. Okay, 389, Councilwoman Rashana Cosby.
388 first, or you want to go by the person?
You also want to speak on 388?
No, but we're going in order. Okay. So I'm asked to pull 389 because as a member of the Personnel Committee, we have procedures when there's a vacancy, and we had a concern, myself especially, received the information from the Personnel Division, who was not contacted. In a nutshell, this individual is highly compensated and has been in his job for quite a long time. You know, it's a totally different job than the one that the person is out on FMLA for. So the concern now is, how can you take one person and bring them into a different position because someone's out sick? We have had maternity leave in the clerk's office, extended leave, and that's FMLA. That's appropriate. It's approved. So is the illness in the other office. They made it work. They made it happen. So if you need a person to help, you have to get someone who's in the same category. So if it's the clerk that's out sick for an extended period of time, we should look at a clerk. So we had the mayor. This person was told by the mayor that he should prepare to report to this clerical position on today. And, you know, they went on and made arrangements to get a large computer screen and a new chair and all kind of stuff. None of this went before the Personnel Committee, which is, we hear all the time, we run on committees, this form of government. Our committee heard about it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And our committee suggested that the department manager submit it through to our Personnel Committee, which is what everyone always does. And we just received that tonight. So the mayor is the mayor. The mayor is not an appointing authority unless it's someone in his office. This person sat in his office and covered the phones when the mayor decided that he no longer needed the services of his confidential aide. Appropriate or not, that's his right. However, when you have other members of the same bargaining unit say, well, I can answer the phone. I want to keep my same salary and go to a job where the person who was working there is making less than me. I'll do their job. I'll take a longer lunch and still, you know, whatever it is. It's inappropriate. I'm asking the council members here, because we did not approve this to come on the agenda. It was forced upon us. The recommendation from our Personnel Committee Chairwoman was, look at other departments where clerks are plentiful. Councilman Brown suggested 2 years ago, we need a pool of people who could be moved interchangeably throughout the city workforce in the event that there was someone who went out sick or took an extended leave or whatever it is. You can't take someone from one job and put them in another job just because someone's out sick. And the last thing I'm going to say is, when we were talking about it last night, the mayor said, I don't know if he intentionally said it or it came out. Well, what happens if this person doesn't come
Quite a
back?
bit came out.
And well, it probably just came out. What happens if this person doesn't come back and we want to keep that other person in the job? That's inappropriate. If there's an opening, we post them. If it's not an opening, you know, due to a vacancy, you shift around, you make do. We do what we have to do. And I suggested to the mayor, take someone from your office. If they're only answering the phone, take your secretary. Leave your confidential aide, let her go over there. That's his only authority. The council as a whole can appoint people. And if we vote on this tonight to appoint someone who was not going through the proper channels, who is slapping the clerical union members in their face, it's a travesty. Council President, Councilwoman Yamakatis. No, well, sir, I said 389. I thought you were going in number order. This is 389.
Correct.
Councilwoman-
Comments?
Councilwoman-
Ms. Yamakaitis.
Thank you, Mr. President. As Councilwoman Cosby Hurling said, this was brought to the attention of the Personnel Committee at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. A desk chair was already being rolled into the office. A call for a bigger computer screen was done. This bypassed the whole committee system. And as you see, it was not on our personnel report tonight. It's wrong. There's bargaining units there. We don't call up City Hall and ask for a clerk to ride the back of a garbage truck just because we're shorthanded. You don't do that. And I would ask the council to respect the fact that we have to do this the right way, post-position. We just don't pull somebody out of another division that doesn't even have the experience to do this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Council President.
Mr.
Can I
Mayor?
speak? Since,
The Council President.
since,
I have Councilman Brown first. I apologize. Mr. Brown?
Yeah. I'm going to voice that I'm not supporting this as well. Last night, at first I was for it, filling a position, but after listening last night that I heard that there were other clerks that were interested in this position, it makes me think that what we've been trying to do, especially me and other members on council, is create a level playing field. From when I worked in City Hall, and even sometimes here right now, you hear that some people get favored more than others, and it's not a level playing field. What we've done, we instituted an anti-nepotism policy. We put performance reviews. We've done things so that there's a level playing field. What I've heard from my other two colleagues who's on the personnel committee is that this didn't go through the normal process. And for me, is that if we're trying to create a level playing field for everyone, whether you're a City Hall employee that's looking to move, from one office to another, or someone from the outside that's looking for a job inside City Hall, is that we have to be consistent. And for me, the process wasn't consistent as far as how we normally do things here. And I can't support, this. So that's the end of my comments.
Mr. Mayor, and then Mr. Armstead.
obviously, Roshana Closby Hurling is very upset.
I'm really not.
But
I'm really not.
the fact is that if we don't supply somebody into this construction code, we're going to have a shutdown of construction code with a nervous breakdown of another employee.
That's inappropriate. That's totally
Excuse me, please.
I got to counsel
Sorry.
explain one person speaks.
I apologize.
Thank you. Would you continue, Mayor? I apologize.
Thank you. There's no sense arguing up here. I feel it's an emergent issue. You got no place else to take any employee because all our employees' departments are cut to the bone. This is the only individual that we could steal from at this point. And again, what's the alternative but to have a shutdown of the construction code department or a total slowdown because we don't have the sufficient personnel there? Again, it seems like certain people are offended, even though I kept them in a loop. And I was going to discuss it, which I did last night at caucus, but that wasn't good enough. And they're making excuses that I ignored them when I didn't. But again, let's just take the vote, Council President. If it goes up, it goes up. If it goes down, it goes down. And if you have a lack of permits issued in the construction code, or if you have another employee who's ready to stress out, call off sick, then let Roshana Cosby answer the phones in the construction code. End of report.
Councilman Brown.
Thank you.
And then we'll go back to the audience.
I'm just going to leave it at this. It's very misleading. It's plain and simple. You have two people in the construction code office. One person is not there. This isn't the first time that the construction code had one person, so if you have employee A, employee B, there have been some days where only employee A worked, and some days where only employee B worked. This is something that happened last week. the construction code office is not going to shut down. And in fact, a solution was provided yesterday, which was simply ignored, which came from our personnel department, who also does not support this. It was very simple. Call and find other department heads who may be willing to. That option was not even exhausted, nor was it done today. To simply say that this is the only option is very misleading, and to put the fear out there that the construction code office is going to close is simply false. Because all you have to do is go back the last couple of months when there's been one employee in the construction code, and they have been running. So what I'm suggesting is, again, you follow the normal process, and let's stop making these one-off excuses, because employees are simply tired of it. If we're simply going out there saying we're trying to be fair, here's how we become fair, by being consistent. It's very misleading. The construction code office is not going to close. An option was presented yesterday, which was simply ignored. Call around, find the personnel. And in fact, from what I understand, and the chairwoman can attest to this, is that when the personnel employee or our personnel department wanted to talk about this, she was shut down by the mayor when she was trying to provide a solution. So I'm sorry.
That is correct.
For the mayor to say, let's stop talking about this and move on, is because there's things that are being hidden. We need to put this out in the open because everyone needs to be treated fairly, and this stuff needs to stop. People ran up on the platform talking about ending nepotism, cronyism, and it's still alive now. So let's cut it and let's move on.
Mr. Brown, nothing makes the agenda unless there's a majority.
That's not true.
And we took a straw vote. That's true. And it made
Mr. President?
the agenda. So I think I'm discouraged by that.
Call the vote, Council President. Either goes
Mayor,
up or
we have
down, that's
other
all.
people.
Mr. President.
Council President, point of order is that Council President, point of order, the mayor does not run the meetings, you do, so I ask that the mayor, please stop telling the call, have a road call. Only you have the authority to do that.
Anybody on my left has comments? Because order.
Good evening.
3 minutes.
You know what, I'm sitting here and I only signed my name so I could speak at the end. But obviously, this is an issue that we have to address as a city in order for us to move forward with city business. Mayor, I spoke with your office and I asked who's in charge of our city. And you said to me, we have committees who are in position to do the work. But if you, as the leader who's supposed to work with the committees, feels that you can override them at any time, then that's not the committee being able to do its business. You took the word steal, wrong word. Steal sounds like we're doing something wrong, and that was the wrong word to use. I know that we need someone to fill that position, but there are rules that all of us have to follow, just like all of us as citizens have to follow rules when we have to stand here and speak to the city council. Those rules need to be in place to level the playing field and to try and get rid of some of the things that have been very negatively known about the city of Linden. We know already there are people who are obligated to other people because they have family members who are working in this position or that position. If that family member is competent, I don't have a problem with it. But I want to have the opportunity for my family members to also have the same ability. I want them to have the same rights and privileges, because those taxes are not just paid by those of you who have opportunities, but they're paid by every single one of us here. So follow the process. Let the committee work. City Council, I'm looking forward to you to step up, stand up, and do the right thing, because you are in charge of the city of Linden. And if you violate your own principles, then don't expect us to support you when it's time for you to return. Thank you.
I would ask the audience to refrain from any comments and noise and applaud. Sir, in the center. I work off of order.
My name is John Principato. I live at 1706 Westover Road. Quite often, I am in the construction code office, and I had no idea that this was even on the agenda until it came up. And I know Jerry, and Jerry is a great guy. I don't have any problem with anybody in that office. I've never had an issue in that office. As a matter of fact, when I go through or into other construction code offices throughout the state, I 99.9% of the time will tell them that the pettiness that goes on in their office never goes on in Linden. And I'm not just saying that because I know personally people that work in that office, but I've been in that office, I've been going to that office for about 20 years, and been doing business in that office, and it's always been professionally run. And I just believe that in order to keep that professionalism, that you need to put the right person in the right job. And I like Jerry, but that's not Jerry's job, okay? I don't know what the process is, and whatever it is, that's fine. I think that process should take place. But the one thing that I want to say is that office is shorthanded. And I've been in that office at times when there weren't any clerical people in that office, and just an inspector answering the phone, answering my questions, answering other people's questions, okay? It is that office is shorthanded, and Mr. Brown, you said that it would run with one person short, but I believe that...
Mr. Principato, 1 minute, please.
I believe that that is a very vital, important office, and I believe that it should be run properly. And we need someone there. I don't believe that it's Mr. Bishop unless somebody here knows something that I don't know. I don't think Mr. Bishop is a clerical person. I don't think he's an inspector, you know. He's a great guy. But I think that you should put the right person in the right position. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else on my left? Please come up. 3 minutes.
I have to agree with Councilman Warbury. I think that the mayor just took it upon himself and picked anybody that he wanted. We all deserve a chance. It seems like nobody was heard. It just came up on at 4 o'clock. I think that is one of the problems that Linden mayor need to stop. Give us all a chance. Discuss it with us. Don't just pick somebody who you fill the spot. There are people here deserve the chance just as much as we would like it to be done. And I represent, and I thank Cosby and anybody else who brought this out, because if it wasn't brought out, we would never know. This is another term the mayor did. Thank you.
Councilman Armstead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Do I think we need somebody in construction code? Yes, they handle a lot of requests. It's a very busy office. Do I think the mayor was sincere about putting somebody in that position? I really think he was. I think he was trying to help and help out our department head, who's Frank Adamski. But sometimes the road to hell was paved on good intentions, okay? So we made a mistake this time. I believe that the overall issue here is the process. We are a committee form of government, and as a committee form of government, and I'll tell anybody, you know, sometimes if it doesn't come out of committee, it shouldn't be on the floor. So, and as much as I want to see Mr. Adamski's office run efficiently, I do think that the overall issue here is how it was presented, and I think that we have to stay with the proper protocol, and I would recommend that the personnel committee do what is ever necessary to make whatever recommendations are needed to get his office up and running to his satisfaction. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Whatever we decide to do here tonight, I'm discouraged to the fact that it was placed on the agenda with a majority. And that's why we have a caucus, and we work out our problems, and we
Council
take things
President.
off. And we did a straw poll, and I'm disappointed. Mr. Brown.
Council President, based off of what Councilman Armstead is recommending, that it goes through the proper protocol and go through the Personnel, and make a motion to table this. And seek a second.
Just vote. Vote it down. Vote it down.
Well, table's already presented. All right. So I withdraw that table. Never mind.
Motion, please.
Council President, I move resolution number 2013-389 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Clerk, take the...
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Cosio?
No.
Brown?
No.
Armstead?
No.
Cosby Hurling?
No.
Sadowski? No. Sheehy?
Yes, it's temporary. Read the fourth word in the ordinance, temporary.
Yamakaitis?
No.
Medina?
Just want to qualify my vote. I'm part of the Construction Code Committee. They are swamped, and I'm concerned about the service that the residents will receive with one person being short there. So my vote is yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
I also would like to qualify my vote. It was presented as the word came up, a fire that we have to put out. And ultimately, I think we should stick with the system, and my vote's no.
Motion carried.
Motion is defeated.
All right, we're going to move into,
88.
oh, sorry. Thank you, partner. Mr. Brown on 384.
Thank you, Council President. So Resolution 384, this has to do with the Southwood Avenue project. I know usually there's people that come up to talk about redevelopment, and this is what this is. Most likely this is going to pass, but I think residents should know what this deals with. Basically, right now, Union County Improvement Authority holds title to that piece of land that's right down there. What this resolution is saying basically is that we agreed to, or basically, we owe them some money. That exact amount, nobody knows, and that we're going to pay them for some work that was done on that property. My problem with this resolution is a couple things. One is that where's that agreement that says that the city of Linden owes the Union County Improvement Authority any money? No one has been able to produce that yet. My second issue is how much? No one has that. For the last couple of days, we talked about this. It may be 300,000, maybe 500,000, maybe this, maybe that. Again, this is not how you run a city. This is not how you run the finances. This is what keeps getting us in trouble. The question is, why is this coming up now? This building was originally, I guess, demoed back in 2007. Here we are in 2013, and this is an issue that seems to be coming up now. Through this whole process every month, when there's something dealing with that property, is we have to do it now, or else they're not going to be able to build. Last month it was letting them use the firehouse lot for $1. We don't allow them to do that, they're not going to be able to build. The month prior to that, it had to do with parking variance. If we don't do that, they're not going to be able to build. But these issues keep coming up. There's no proper planning with this redevelopment, in my opinion. The other issue is, from what I understand, we learned tonight that a couple months ago or a year ago, our attorney met with the director back then and said, listen, give us your record, your details, how much we owe. That wasn't presented. So now all of a sudden, fast forward, we present this resolution saying that, hey, we might owe you some money, and the $1 million that we're supposed to get from the developer is going to go in the escrow account, which we can't touch, in case we have to pay these guys. The problem I have is this $1 million supposed to give with the developer. If we had the title today and they give us $1 million, that money can be used for next year's budget. The way that this reads now is that if we get the title after this agreement is passed, that $1 million, we cannot touch it. It needs to be held in an escrow account until this matter is sorted out. Now, if you look, the track record of far as the city of Linden when it comes to lawsuits takes months, years. We talked about, Walmart. We have a lawsuit with the school board going over garbage for the last year and a half. Lawsuits never come easy here in Linden, so that money, in my opinion, is going to be tied up for well over a year, which that's money that could have been used to help next year's budget. To me, this resolution needs some type of work. We need to have more dialogue with the Union County Improvement Authority. There's a new director there. I think he's been there for less than 2 months, and already, we're setting a stage where we're going to be locking heads, in my opinion, and going to battle over who owes what money and everything else. So I can't support this. It's a huge liability to the city. We don't know how much we owe, even if we do owe any money. So that's all I have to say, Council President.
Thank you. Anybody in the chamber wishes to, seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Council President, I move Resolution 2013-384 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Since this is in my ward, I think it is a good idea, yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes, and I'd also like to say this evening, we had our representative, our attorney, to come answer all questions, and I was satisfied with that. Yes. Council, in order to take into consideration public input for the proposed ordinance, will allow 3 minutes for each individual to speak on an ordinance on first reading. Council will not answer any questions, and everybody's reminded that the public hearing on these ordinances will be held next month's council meeting. And ordinance on first reading, number 5760.
Council President, I would like to make a motion to remove ordinance number 57-60 from consideration. I ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5761.
An ordinance of the City of Linden establishing and adopting the Abandoned Property Rehabilitation Act and other statutory provisions relating to the act.
Anybody wish to comment on this ordinance? On my right, in the center, on the left, and the purpose of instituting the ability for the public to speak in the prior administration, they were not allowed to. We look for your input, so then next month we can make a decision. Does anybody wish to speak on this? Yes. Please come up.
Mildred Curry, 400 East Baltimore Avenue.
And you have 3 minutes.
Could someone just tell me, maybe give me a little insight into the ordinance of the City of Linden establishing and adopting the Abandoned Property Rehabilitation Act? Tell me a little bit about it.
Mr. Hudak?
Very
Oh, no,
briefly.
sorry.
Briefly.
It's on first reading, we can't answer.
Oh, okay. But you wanted me to speak about it?
Well, the purpose of allowing the
Is
public to get, we work for you, so I'd like to get your opinion.
Well, let me tell you what I think it is. It's something that we've already done, obviously, before. So we have abandoned property, and we need some authorization that will allow us to establish that it is an abandoned property and rules and procedures that govern how we're going to rehab it even after it's been abandoned. Is that correct? You're not answering the question. Okay.
On first reading, it's
Ms.
your
Curry,
input.
Ms. Curry, Mildred, you can talk, you can discuss it with me after the meeting. I'll fill you in on what it is.
Thank you, though, John. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Together.
I'm sure it's not just me. I'm sure it must be someone else out here who also needs to have these types of, this amount of information to help us to understand. Thank you.
You're welcome. I ask for a motion, please.
Mr. Council President, I move ordinance 5761 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski? Yes. Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5762.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2 Administration of the ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Adopting and Enacting the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999, delete Section 2-8 reserved in its entirety, add new Section 2-8 City Administrator.
Anybody in the chamber on the right wishes to make a comment? In the center? On my left? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. President, I move for introduction of ordinance 5762 and request a second.
Second.
Colubus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5763.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 traffic as follows. Add to 7-12.1 2-hour parking, Morningside Avenue and Summit Terrace, both sides, Monday through Friday, from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Delete from 7-15.1D, parking decals Summit Terrace, east side from a point 45 feet northwest of St. George Avenue to a point 340 feet north of West St. George Avenue, and add to 7-15.1D, teacher permit parking only, Summit Terrace, east side, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday.
Members in the council chambers on my right, comments in the center, on my left, from council people. Motion, please.
Council President, I'd like to introduce ordinance 57-63 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Colibus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
No.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No.
Who said no?
Okay, thank you. We're going to move into comments from members of the public in attendance on city business only. Please, no personal, political, derogatory comments, not to exceed 5 minutes. I'll ask Tehana Johnson from 7 to...
She said she spoke already.
Thank you. Mildred Curry. And I'll ask you to keep it 3 minutes, please.
Of course, thank you.
You.
First of all, I'd like to say good evening to our honorable mayor and also to our honorable council people. And I'd like to say I am very proud of some of the things that I have experienced this past month. And that was when I reached out to council people, specifically certain council people. I want to thank those people for being reachable and for reaching back to me on an issue that I was concerned with. I also want to thank the mayor for being a person of his word when he in fact communicated information to me, which has helped me to be able to read and understand what we're experiencing as we move forward to try and develop our city. But I would like to thank in particular Councilman Rich Cosio for being reachable, Councilman Peter Brown for being reachable, Councilwoman Roshana Cosby Hurley. When I say reachable, I mean also that you have acknowledged when I have struggled with trying to get certain information and you have been available. Thank you. I want to thank Councilman Sadowski for being reachable and for even letting me know that he could reach out to other council people to bring them in on a matter that was truly near and dear to my heart. I appreciate that. Councilwoman Michelle Yamakaitis, thank you for being reachable and being responsive. And Councilman Medina, new but fresh, and you brought something special to our council, which is necessary. So I thank those of you who have done that. And I do thank all of the city council for your years of service. I know how difficult it can be to say no on something that you have been grilled on to say yes, but you've got to go with your conscience and your moral compass, because if you lose that, then you lose sight of the position that you have and the responsibility that's on your shoulders. So thank you so much. Thank you.
I've never been grilled on anything to vote on.
I'm sorry?
I've never been grilled on any issue to vote one way or another.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I've never been grilled.
Oh, you've never been grilled?
Right.
I'm not sure of what you mean. Could you elaborate a little bit?
Well, did you make a statement as, you know, I appreciate the council not being persuaded to vote one way or another when you're pressured?
Well, sometimes I think that the council does experience that. And it should come from a much higher authority than man has.
I
It should come from something internal that has put you in the position where you feel that you want to represent people. So, yes, sometimes that pressure is so intense,
I haven't seen it, though.
you don't have to see it because you're speaking from a personal position. It happens to others, though.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Sharpie. Three
Mr.
minutes.
Sharpie would like to talk about 16 days from now. And I'm so sorry, you know, I thought we had Wawa, everyone. But it seems that I talked to the owner, Brady Wood. I've been dealing with him since 1978 when my family bought one of his stores up in Devon, Connecticut. And part of the Wawa thing is we're not going to wait. There's other parts in this state that would gladly take Wawa. So, residents, they ain't gonna wait. There's Wawa, we had no problem getting one in Elizabeth, and right down on 109, we had no problem with that city. But it seems that anything that wants to come to Linden, they're being ratables into this town, we cannot get it. Why? Why? Well, when you vote, just remember, you vote your conscience and the individual. Because when you get up here as a city councilman, you're an individual representing your ward. You're not running on party lines. And if it goes the way I hope it goes, we won't have that downfill. Like a week ago, I said the downfill for this town in the next couple of years is going down and probably go into bankruptcy. You know, there's a lot of homes up for sale around here. And when my daughter graduates and I lose, that's okay. I'll go back to my hometown, and that's probably where my daughter's going to go, or else she'll go down to Texas. And you won't see the other girl come out of here.
1 minute, sir.
There's no future in Linden. And I feel sorry for you people, because I have other places to go. I have another career I can go on to. You know, I did my 38 years around here, so it's time you'll see the end of the shoppies.
Thank
You know, I had a governor presented my name in Pennsylvania. I'll go back home where I belong.
Mike Brodick, local Broderick.
Good evening, Mayor, Council President, Council members. It's a pleasure to speak before you this evening. Now, my name is Michael Broderick. For some of you who may not have met me, I am the representative both for the blue and white collar units of the township, the city of Linden, for the DPW in particular. Tonight I speak.
And I'll ask you to keep it to 3 minutes.
Absolutely, no problem. A year ago, a little better than a year ago, Hurricane Sandy devastated not only the East Coast, but did a lot of damage to the city of Linden. One, in fact, building that was damaged was the building that housed all the DPW employees, some of which are behind me this evening. The employees, they were then moved to the municipal garage facility, which is not conducive to the work that's being performed, and the safety of the individuals performing that work is becoming second nature. The building where our public properties is, just for example, where our public properties workforce resides, doesn't have a C of O. Hasn't had a C of O since it was built. And yet we work out of that building day in and day out. So the question I have for the mayor and council, if someone can answer, we received FEMA monies, we received insurance monies, the abatement on the asbestos has been done for over a month, and yet the garage still remains empty. What is going on? What is happening? Inquiring minds want to know down at the DPW, and they've come to you for your guidance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President, can I answer that?
Mr. Mayor, if it would you please?
We just got the check only about a month ago, Mike. And we have to decide on the elevation for the boiler. Because, as you're well aware, that was a brand-new boiler, only a year old, and because of Superstorm Sandy, it shot. Now, we're not quite sure what height we have to raise the replacement boiler, and we're looking into that right now And we all agree, myself and this governing body, we got to rehabilitate that building. But I'm one that am not sure that I want Public Works to go back to it. I'd rather we listen to the Director of Public Property and Community Services and consolidate the Public Works Department, municipal garage, and public property on one site. Now, some council members don't agree with that, but that's an issue that we'll be discussing after the rehabilitation, and that's basically where we stand right now.
Thank you very much. I'll ask John Principato to come up, please.
Council President?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Brown.
Thank you. All right. So where do we stand on that? Anyone knows? Yeah, anyone knows me, I ask a lot of questions. Sometimes I get in trouble for asking too many questions. A lot of questions you have, I have. First of all, the check has been more than a month. I was trying to look on my phone to see when it came in. It was more than a month ago. The money, from what I understand, is in one of our accounts. So we have it here. We can spend it. Yesterday, when this issue got brought up, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, George, who represents our engineering department, we were going to order a boiler, go out for RFP, but then you were told not to. What's happening here, and now being chairman of the Public Works Committee, there's a lot of misinformation out there. When the check came in, why the boiler wasn't ordered, this, that. Now what's going to happen is that we're going to get this information, and I need to get you guys back there as soon as possible. Because we know the issue is the winter's coming, and I brought this up last year. Those trucks that we have out there cannot be out there in the winter, because what's going to wind up happening is if those trucks break down because it winds up freezing and everything else, it's going to cost Linden taxpayers more money, because then we have to go out there and fix these trucks when they should be housed inside the Public Works building. So I know there's a lot of questions that haven't been answered. I'll be working with Councilman Shi, who's chairman of the Public Works Committee, on getting this resolved as quickly as possible. So I know there, again, you guys look for answers, and we're going to get it to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John Principato.
John Principato, 1706 Westover Road. I just checked out some of the pictures from the murals that were painted underneath the bridge. I had no idea that the meaning that they had. I don't think a lot of citizens know the meaning. I spoke to the gentleman that was in charge of the project. I don't know his name. I didn't have a pen to write it down. But I'm pretty impressed. After driving by it about 100 times or more so far, I just thought it was graffiti, and it's really not graffiti. Just so you guys know, I mean, a lot of people have said to me, have you seen what's going on over there? It looks like graffiti and blah, blah, blah. And it's not just graffiti. There's a lot of history, and it's pretty impressive. That's one thing I wanted to get out. The other thing about the redevelopment project, I'm just wondering why we're pushing for redevelopment in that area with no retail and not enough parking for all the units that are going to be built. Because I know, having built some homes in Linden, that there are specific guidelines for every unit that you build that you need to have parking, off-street parking per unit. And I've never had any concessions made for myself, and nor anyone in my family or anybody, any builders that I know personally. Maybe they have been made, but it just doesn't seem right that you can build a building like this right by the train station and only have half a parking spot per unit. It doesn't make any sense to me. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take up Pennsylvania Railroad Avenue for that building. So that builder is hitting the home run. I mean, I don't know the guy. I don't care. All I know is that I pay taxes in this town, in this city, and I feel like we're being slighted as taxpayers. After hearing this, I was a little bit upset, to say the least.
1 minute, sir.
I think that the people that are going to be renting these apartments are going to want retail stores they're going to want a Starbucks or whatever. These people that travel into the city and get on the train, they're not going to want to walk 2 blocks to get a cup of coffee. I just don't think it's being thought out. I don't understand it. And then I hear that they're only going to be paying $1,900 per unit for 10 years in taxes. $1,900 per unit for 10 years? If I know a 1-bedroom is going to be at least $1,200. So the amount of money that this person's stands to make off of our city, off of our backs, it's unreasonable for us. We need to think about what we're doing. We don't just need to build anything there. Think about what's going on. Think about a building that's going to be there for 100 years, maybe.
Thank you.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Can I answer that, Council President?
I have Peter Brown first. Mayor?
I'll let the mayor go first.
He yields to the mayor. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. You're correct that we need quality retail stores on Wood Avenue. We need Starbucks. We need restaurants. But you're not going to get any of those stores or quality restaurants if you don't have density housing. And if you don't have young professionals, which these apartments are geared for, they're not geared for families, they're geared for young professionals who, they are not geared. You're not going to have a family of 3 or 4 in those apartments. There's lofts, and again, they're geared towards young professionals who are going to use the train station to go to Newark or New York, and when they come home, they're not going to make dinner for themselves. They're going to go out and they're going to demand restaurants, and as I've said numerous times, that is going to be the spark that's going to ignite an explosion on Wood Avenue for quality stores and restaurants. The planning board took into account the parking, and we followed the law under the parking for a transit village, which allows, I believe, it's 3/4, not a half. And there's going to be plenty of parking underneath at ground level of that apartment house, and then there's going to be parking on Pennsylvania Railroad Avenue. We will be getting, when it's completed, $350,000 a year in taxes with a 2% cost of living increase every year. Again, we cannot stay stagnant on Wood Avenue. We got to improve that neighborhood. That South Wood Avenue needs major improvement. And once those units are built, then the developer has first rights to go across the street and build some retail stores along with apartments. Again, this was well thought out. Our first developer, we had a default, and we suffered because this has been in the works since 2003 with the first developer. Now we got a legitimate developer. He's putting in $43 million to build that apartment building. $43 million. We had Northwest Financial check out his financials to make sure he has the money to build. He has 2 bank commitments plus his own money that he's putting up for the $43 million. This guy's qualified. He's did projects in Hackensack. He's did projects in Rawway. And this project, when it's finished, is going to be a major improvement to that neighborhood, which is going to draw the young professionals, which is then going to draw the stores and the restaurants to make Wood Avenue something that's going to be beautiful, especially when we got that extra $1 million from the DOT to start beautifying the streetscapes in that neighborhood. And that's what it's all about. And people laugh at me, but I'm making a prediction. In 10 to 15 years, you're going to see a little Hoboken or Jersey City around our train station, because Council President and I just cut the ribbon Saturday for the 48 condominium units behind the Linden Towers, which are gorgeous units. They are like a 5-star hotel, and he's putting up 48 more units on the other side of his parking lot. So again, you can't stay stagnant and we got to start moving forward because the planners have told us that the Y generation or the X generation, whatever generation it is not moving to the suburbs. They want to stay into the cities. They want to stay around the train stations. They want to go to New York and then come home. And that's the whole concept that we got to get on the coattails with if we want the city and our downtown to prosper. Thank you.
Just put my 2 cents in. When we did attend the ribbon cutting ceremony, I like to talk to individuals, and I met a gentleman who moved in from Brooklyn. And, I got talking to him. He works Clear Channel. And he loves the area. Brooklyn was too expensive. He likes the idea they can walk to the train station. And he started, I believe, we're going to see shops like Trader Joe's, Starbucks, because there's a demand for it. They say build it and the people will come. Mr. Brown.
Okay. Dominic, bring up a lot of good points, things I've brought up month after month, right? So let's stress the storefront. In the original redevelopment plan, it called for storefronts. The council changed that original redevelopment plan to not include those storefronts. The problem I had with that is for the exact reason. We're building this residential unit where these people are going to go to shop at. There's also another fact that a lot of people don't understand. If you go down here on Wood Avenue, and we have a business owner here, as part of the SID district, they pay a special tax to the SID district, which helps. We talk about beautification of Wood Avenue. Well, that money goes towards that. Now, all of a sudden, you build a big residential unit that has no commercial, they're not paying any money into SID, which means then taxpayers have to clean up or pay, into your regular budget, your general fund to clean up Wood Avenue. So I had a problem with that. Second issue is we keep hearing this whole Hoboken. I agree that property needs to grow and we need to do something, but let's be realistic. I'm sorry, Linden is not the next Hoboken. Hoboken is Hoboken because it's location right next door to New York City. Linden will never be a Hoboken because how far it is. I work in the city. I'm one of those young professionals. I keep saying this over and over again. You have people who live in the city who, when they finish work, they want to wine and dine in New York City. When they come home, they're not eating locally. A lot of times they're going home, watching TV, and going to sleep. I mean, if that was the case where we have this big influx of people that want to eat locally, why don't we have more restaurants on Wood Avenue? To me, I think it's a flawed plan. I think we need to target a different group of people, and we need to plan more properly. You talk about parking, an issue, I mentioned that. They were giving a variance, and I just mentioned in my report today that unfortunately someone got hit again at that intersection of Wood Avenue, Elizabeth Avenue, and we're having a traffic study done. I've said time and time again since 2011, is that's a dangerous intersection. All you're doing is adding density there and you're causing a bigger problem. We had 4 or 5 fatalities within the last 3 to 4 years. And now you're adding more density, less parking, and more units to a problem. So there's a lot of problems with this project. I'm not against it. I just think it needs to be planned more properly and more questions need to be asked. I mean, because at the end of the day, like the mayor said, when this guy's done with this property, he wants the property across the street. And what you're going to see is, it is, and you're absolutely right, which it's going to become a problem if we don't address it now. He talks about the pilot program, so now they don't pay county or school taxes. There's, I think, either 2 or 3 different phases afterwards. Guess what? They're going to want a pilot program too, so now all those residential units aren't going to pay into it. Then I'm hearing talks about Quick Check. Someone wants that lot, and then the old Gregorio scaffolding. So now you're going to have all these pilot programs where people live at who aren't going to be paying property taxes for the school system or county. And then because we have a variance on parking for this guy, they're all going to want a variance on parking. So everything that we gave this developer, everybody else is going to want, because we already did it once. And this will become an issue, in my opinion. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. John Roman?
Hello, John Roman, Summit Street. September to remember. I hope all had a good time. In my September to remember, it won't be so good as a street fair. I'd say September was a surcharge month for me, pertaining to our garbage fee, that came in September. Myself discussed it, as many others as well. Or how about spending spree September? I've never seen sidewalks replaced so fast, but yet I can't get leaf bags. All because the laws governed by you, the politicians, say the department must spend the money before the end of the fiscal year. Let's not forget about the $1 million grant from New Jersey Transit. I hope they didn't give it all to the kindergartners who painted those walls down by the train station. And when it becomes time to raise the surcharge on garbage, that the politicians who voted for this surcharge will no longer be in office. Wait, that's a reoccurring dream I have. The only one politician that didn't vote on this would be Mr. Minichenko, who's coming in, and whoever wins in the second ward. I can only hope that these two new politicians don't live by the same credo. In order to get along, you go along. Thank you.
George Alvarez, please. Three minutes, please. 3 minutes, please. 2 minutes? Come on.
Good evening. I'm always nice. I was here last month to talk about $15,000. I'm not here for the same reason today. I am here for you, Mr. Moore. I'm here to grill you today. Okay. You stated earlier that people are allowed to come up and talk, any citizens, and that the previous administration didn't do that.
On first reading on ordinances.
Okay. Well, it's very skeptical when you have a citizen of the city, someone that pays taxes, and comes up and speaks, and then you get a reply from a councilman, and then you find that this councilman decides to badmouth you in Facebook.
I don't know anything about that.
Of course not. You don't. But how can you expect anybody to come up here, and I'm really blaming all of you, okay? Not the mayor, all of you. Because how can you expect anybody to come up here and say anything when next morning you're going to find yourself being badmouthed by one of you? How do you expect anything to be said here if you guys are going to be said, he hates kids, he's against kids, setting up kids against kids, setting up communities against communities, and we can go on and on and on. But any of you who have Facebook, take a look, you'll be able to see it. And those of you who know me, come on, I hate kids. So I blame all of you because you guys have the power to stop this. If you guys get into the state ethics laws, you guys will be able to see that this can be stopped, and there's no reason for this. If I come here and I say whatever to one of you, and when you reply, I listened, and I kept my mouth shut, there is no reason to go into Facebook and then trash me, for lack of a better word, okay? But it's not right. All right, so keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and see what you guys are going to do about this, because I know what I'm going to do.
Finished, right?
Mr. Armstead?
Well, Mr. Alvarez, I'm really sorry you feel that way. You have to remember, you know, last month when you came to the council meeting, you made some accusations with regards to why I helped a particular football program. And the
I
accusation...
have the video here. You
made-
guys want to see the video?
You made it...
Sir, take a
You guys want
seat.
to see the video of what I said?
Mr. Alvarez, take a seat, please.
You're a liar, sir.
You made some accusations, okay, that you felt like I helped Pop Warner and I didn't help soccer, okay? No, Mr. Alvarez, please hang around. I was decent enough to listen, okay? Truth of the matter is, I love all children. Fact of the matter is, every other program in this town is funded, every athletic program is funded with the exception of Pop Warner, Okay, there are several soccer programs, there are baseball programs, there are basketball programs that the city does provide assistance to with regard to staffing and actual programming. That it actually costs us money. I think it's a lot more than $15,000. Okay, I really think that if Mr. Alvarez was sincere about me helping the soccer program, he would have picked up the phone and gave me a call and said, Mr. Armstead, I know you've been very instrumental in the past with the Pop Warner program. I'd like you to help me with my soccer program. And you know what, Mr. Alvarez? I would have did everything humanly possible to help you out, okay? But it's painfully obvious that Mr. Alvarez has elected to come in front of this governing body and has chosen to use the council meeting as a platform for his reelection bid. It's no secret that Mr. Alvarez is running for the Board of Education, okay? Mr. Alvarez was appointed to the Board of Education.
That has nothing to do with soccer. And I didn't hear him say anything about vote for me, Council President.
Point of order, Mr. President. Okay? It's not political.
It totally is.
It's not political. Point of order. It's not political. It's not political. It's not political.
No shouting from the audience, no clapping,
It's my opinion that Mr. Alvarez chose to come in front of this council chambers to, in an effort to help himself out. Okay? That's my opinion.
Thank you.
Because like I said, if Mr. Alvarez, I feel like if Mr. Alvarez was sincere about me helping him out with his soccer program, he would have picked up the phone and gave me a phone call. He could have came by my house the same way the people from Pop Warner did. They didn't come to the council chambers and say, Mr. Armstead, we need money. They came to my house. They rang my doorbell, and they said, we need help. Can you help me? And you know what? I gave them help. Mr. President, I'm responding. I got my 3 minutes and 5 minutes like everybody else, but it's my party. I can cry if I want to because I'm on this dais, and I'm a council member, and I'm going to continue to talk until I get my point across. Okay. Let's just rehash this whole situation. You pick a fight, be ready. I'm not going to back down. Mr. Alvarez was a member of the Board of Education.
What does that have to do with soccer?
It's,
He resigned. He's running for the Board of Education again. He resigned so that he can get his, we talked about nepotism this evening. He resigned so he can get a family member a job.
Council President.
He resigned so he can get a family member a job. And now he's asking us to support him again. And I think he's using the soccer program. I believe in my heart that he's using the soccer program to try to...
Mr. Armstead, would you...
For his election purposes, okay?
All right, thank you for your comments.
Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Armstead. Councilman Brown.
Thank you.
You talking to me?
I'm going to have to ask you to refrain from any comments and clapping and making any noise, or I'm going to ask you to leave the room. Mr. Brown?
Thank you.
Councilman Brown?
Yes, all right, if anyone remembers, George Alvarez came, I think, 2 years ago, when he wasn't on the board, he wasn't involved in anything about the same issue. So, I mean, to make this political, I think is simply wrong. Like anybody else, sometimes we get hot, we get upset here on council when members from the public come up and ask us certain questions, everything else like that, it happens. But at the same time, I don't agree that we should publicly be going out there bashing members of the public. You know, I mean, we may talk amongst each other, we get upset, and sometimes we have it here. I've had my blowouts with people, but it stops there. When I'm reading here, to resort to social media and say certain things about members of the public, to me, is unacceptable, which you know, I mean, it's between, you know, Councilman Armstead and Ms. Alvarez.
You can call the Facebook police on me if you want.
No, it's not a matter of that. But at the same time...
This is not a conversation here.
Yeah, but at the same time, I just want to make it known. You know, I mean, just like you're going to say things about George Alvarez, I want to make sure that people know that George, in my opinion, he does a great job in the community.
Thank you.
He volunteers. He's,
I never said he didn't do a great job.
Councilman Armstead said you had your chance.
Councilwoman Rashana
No,
Cosman.
I'm not done. I have a history.
Please sum up.
I have a history with George Alvarez where we ran against each other, And not for nothing, I mean, the guy's like,
Please sum up.
I don't want to say he's that much older than me, but he's almost like a big brother to me, where I can go on, get advice from him, where he tells me things that's going on in the community. He's a great guy, and for me, it's sad to see that he be personally attacked and his character be challenged when George is a good guy, and I'm just sorry that George is not here to hear that. I mean, I hope George keeps doing the good work that he's doing. I know people who do know George feel the same way, that he's a great guy, and, you know, by him simply coming up and asking a question, I don't believe it was political. It was just his way of asking a question and helping a group of kids who he's been helping for years. You know, not yesterday, but for years.
Thank you,
With that being
Councilman
said,
Brown.
hold on, Council President, I want to submit this to the city clerk for the official record as well.
Councilwoman Rashana Cosby Hurley.
Yeah, just so we're clear, Mr. Alvarez came a couple years ago. It was kind of funny. He goes, "Where's my money?" Like, he was trying to be funny, but not really, because Linden Youth Soccer Association is not funded through the city recreation funds. The Linden Recreation Soccer has programs in the spring, the summer, the spring and the fall, and in the winter, because my children play. They have a great time. But here's the thing. They also have PAL that has the football, you know, I think it's flag football and something like that. There is no soccer program to the extent of Linden Youth Soccer Association that receives any funding from the city of Linden. When those Diamond girls went to Colorado, their parents raised money, their teams raised money, the Mayor's Youth Commission gave them money, and the mayor gave them money. So here, when Mr. Alvarez says 2 years, again, where's my money? He just wants to be fair. It's not anything other than giving the parents relief the same way we give the other parents relief. And I want to be clear that my son played Pop Warner. And when I put in the ordinance, or fought a year to get an ordinance for background checks for coaches, I was negatively attacked on social media because my son benefited from the coaches. It's not about the coaches, it's about the safety of our kids. It's not about the program, it's about the equity and the funding. We give $20,000 to PAL. We also give $6,000 to the Arc of Union County. And not for, to be perfectly honest, back then, Mr. Alvarez did go to the committee, which was Mr. Councilman Armstead on that committee. And I'll tell you, it never came out of committee. So the full council never had an opportunity to fund or not to fund the Linden Youth Soccer Association, which does not receive city funding. So
we do have a new chairman, I'm sure.
So we do have a new chairman, and then we have the financials, and also, but we had the Diamond Gloves here, and I looked at their 990s, and they gave a significant amount of money last year to Linden Recreation, according to the documents. So if we can just move some of that around and make sure Pop Warner, PAL, and maybe LISA gets theirs, in addition to maybe, I'm saying, increase the ARC funding. Why not? If we're getting all this money from the donations and from special events, why don't we give it back, that we're giving it back? Choose the program. You make it a motion, thank you. But lastly, I do want to say that Mr. Alvarez was not incorrect when he said that we as council members, and we hold public office, and we do use social media. I went to a training class, and there are certain guidelines that you have. When the public says something that you don't like, in my position, in my council Facebook page, Rashana Cosby Hurling, I don't have the right to say, John Principato, I don't like you, what you said to me at the meeting, and to slander your name and say you don't like children because you asked for money. That is defamation of character, at the very least. And so here we may have a potential ethics violation because of the use of the social media in the way that it was used. I'm just saying. So we all have to be careful, those of us that use it, and what we say about our neighbors.
Mr. President, I just want to go on record as saying one thing. Nobody would be happier to see that the soccer program is funded. I would love to see us fund the soccer program and do whatever we could to help them out. I want to go on record as saying that. And again, I'll state, if Mr. Alvarez is serious about raising money for the soccer program, he should come over my house, give me a phone call. I'll be more than glad to do whatever is humanly possible to help the soccer program.
We got the point.
Because believe it or not, some of my kids even want to play soccer. And I think soccer is a great sport. I think football is a great sport. I think anything we could do for our children in this community is a great thing.
I think it's all been said.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, again, I want to remind you, this is my party. I can cry if I want to. The other thing I'd like to say, Mr. President, is that when we have a person who's elected official or running for office, the level of criticism is a lot different.
Mr. Armstead, yield. Paul Sandaus, I'm sorry if I mispronounced this. Paul, Saldanba. Okay. The following council meetings will be as follows. Council conference meeting Monday, November 11th, 2013 at 6 p.m. in the Council Conference Room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council conference meeting prior to the council meetings. Tuesday, November 12th, 2013 at 6 p.m. in the Council Conference Room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council meeting Tuesday, November 12th, 2013 at 7 p.m. in the Council Chambers, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. I ask for a motion to adjourn. Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Colibus? Mr. Colibus?
Yes.
Koziel? Brown? Armstead? Crosby Harling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes, and I'd like you to come out and visit us personally, and good night.